Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so the word is that there's growing discernment between the LA Lakers players and Coach Darvin Ham at this point, based on all of the different movement and rotations and various different things that have kept inconsistency, which has led to lack of success. This is what I know, man. This is what I know. I'm telling y'all just like this. I was thinking about this morning. You cannot have a situation where the team doesn't practice, and we talk about this too much, where the team doesn't practice, but you keep wanting to try new things, and when you don't see success with those new things, you change the things that you didn't see success with. It doesn't work. In order for me to be good at something, specifically professionally, when there's a lot of pressure on the line, I need to be able to know where I'm going, and we need to keep doing it over and over again till I can get good enough to where I don't have to think about it when I'm doing it. If things are constantly changing, you have to know the correlation between that change and the period from which people need to make mistakes within what it is that you're doing, learn it well enough, and then it becomes second nature. Then they can run it like it's supposed to be run. But you can't expect instant success with any beginning of change. But if every single time something isn't successful, you change it, there's never any chance for what it is that you're doing to really have any success. So you're chasing your own tail. And that's where I think Darvin Ham is going left. I don't think he understands that. It's like, bro, you're looking for success with things, but you're not giving them long enough time to try those things for them to work. You know what I'm saying? Even something that looks good on paper needs to have a period of time from which it gets mastered. You understand what I'm saying? We could be doing the right thing, but if you only give me one chance to do it, and if it don't work that one time, you come to the conclusion that it's no good, then it's not what you tried that didn't work. It's that you didn't assess how long it took for people to understand and get it down pat. That's where you went wrong. And I don't think Darvin Ham is really giving that a whole lot of consideration within the process of having so much pressure on him to get it right. Yes, you need to get it right. No, you don't need to get it right overnight. And if you keep trying it over and over again, maybe you'll get a little more success than if you keep changing it every time you see a lack of success. It doesn't mean the adjustment that you try is poor. It just means that when you are making adjustments, you got to leave room for a period of time for which people to master those adjustments. And so that's where Darvin is going wrong. You're not giving your team no chance to get used to what changes you are implementing. Every time they get something new, it's either master it right away or we're changing it. And that does not work, man. There has to be a period of, let me get used to it, let me master it, and then we can assess if it's actually any good or not. Otherwise, it's not good, no matter what we're doing. And so that's where Darvin needs to just reel it in. I know the pressure is a lot, and I know he's a second-year coach, but you gotta stick to something, brother. And it can't be predicated on whether or not the pieces are there. It has to be a system that everybody runs no matter what. And that's where he's going wrong. And I think he made a big mistake last night bringing up the injuries and how that's keeping him from being cohesive as a team. We've heard that many times, and a lot of people will keep that in their mind. But you can't run that on people who are playing the sport and know that certain things that you're doing have nothing at all to do with whether or not certain players are on the floor. You may be able to run that past the media, but you can't run that past the mass public. Some of us are paying attention. You know, some of us are listening to the people who are telling us, yo, this guy's running stuff that doesn't make any sense. And they're breaking it down to us, and we're paying attention. We're following Laker Nation, all these basketball people. We're following the analysts, not the ones on ESPN, but the ones who talk basketball for real. You know, you're following the JJ Redicks. You're following, what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name. But We're following people who really know what they're talking about. So when you come back around and say it's injuries that's keeping us from running cohesive basketball, we know based on their analysis that you could make some other things happen that don't have nothing to do with whether or not your guys on the floor, you know, as a whole. Teams get hurt, man. Miami beat us without Jimmy. Why can't we beat Miami without Rui and D'Lo? It's like they keep running the same damn zone and we ain't adjusting to that zone. It's like, why aren't our guys practicing how to defeat this zone? You know, the Miami Heat run the zone second most as anybody in the NBA. And we weren't prepared for that going into this basketball game. Why weren't we prepared for that? See, these are the type of things that ain't got nothing to do with whether Rui's on the floor or Vincent's on the floor. Those guys, for all we know, may never come back. You trying to tell me we ain't never going to play good again because of it? And you think we want to pay you to do the job when that is what you're telling us? Darvin got to understand some things, man. One of them is these blanketed coach, you know, we just got to play better statements. And nobody want to hear that crap when we got 7 or 8 different analysts breaking down why you should have did this, that, and that. It doesn't work. You got to start breaking down what it is you see. Even if you got to do your own podcast breaking down what you see, you got to do something. There has to be an evolution of this because the fans are not buying the statements and we're getting irritated by it. If you see something, say something. Ain't that what they say on the metro in LA? If y'all, a bunch of LA people have never been on the metro, you know that. If you see something, say something. That's what we need to tell Darvin. We need to know what you're looking at, brother, so that we can assess it through a lens that helps us know what your goals are. Because right now, I don't know what your goals are, coach. You're changing the starting lineup every 3 games. Guys are getting in and out of the lineup hurt, and we're losing these games that we're not supposed to lose. The only good game we've won besides the Indiana game was an OKC game, man. And I can argue that we're missing a massive piece of what it is that they do in Josh Giddey. And I don't think we win that game if he's on the floor because he usually out-rebounds us quite a bit when he's out there. He plays very well against the Lakers, particularly on the boards. So my thing is this. I haven't seen a successful basketball game from the Lakers in a long time. What, you want me to be excited about us beating the Charlotte Hornets without LaMelo Ball, without Mark Williams? Like, I don't care for that. It's not moving me. You want me to be excited about, what was the other win? I don't even remember what the other win was. That's how bad it's been for us. So you let me know, man. Why should I want you to coach my basketball club if all you're going to give me is excuses about injuries when we've had injuries all season long? I could argue our team is more healthy right now than they've been all year. So that's where Darvin is going wrong, man. He needs to understand nobody's buying this stuff. We are listening to analysts. We are a little more knowledgeable about the game as casual fans. And we do need to hear from him to know what his goals are so that we're not asking him to get the hell out of here when he's just 5 minutes away from finding something that he's really genuinely looking for. Communication is key. I really do, especially in situations where you're trying a lot of stuff and everybody's calling for your job and you're making changes. You got to get to a point where, yo, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what my goal is for the team. These are the rotations that we're looking for here, and hopefully finding this set of things within these rotations. Because otherwise, you just look like you're doing a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense. When in actuality, you got a goal. For all I know, it's a behavioral goal. Maybe I'm just trying to get this guy to buy into what I'm doing, so I got to play him a little more. That stuff ain't got nothing to do with what we're assessing, fam. And so we need to have some inclination that these are the type of things that you're trying to do so that we're not calling for your job when the team sucks, bro. And trust and believe. The team sucks, bro. Ain't nobody gonna bang on you for the roster not being any good. But if you're not gonna get the most out of that roster, brother, this is a problem we had last year at the beginning of the season. You want to run 3 guard lineups when the team is limited. Got Russell Westbrook playing off of the ball and stuff. Come on, this year, I gotta argue. What is Max Christie's role, fam? What is Max Christie's role? Some days you don't want him to play at all. Other days you got him playing off the ball. Other days you're trying to get him to take off the dribble. Other days you want him to pass the ball. What is Max Christie's role, fam? Because I can argue he's one of our best perimeter defenders. I can argue he's a nice catch and shoot player, but he can't take the ball off the dribble. You know, I've heard many people like Sean Davis tell us that some of our best lineups have him involved in it, and you're benching him for games at a time. What is his role? He's a second-year guy that needs to develop. What is Jalen Hood-Schifino's role? Because when I look at Jalen Hood-Schifino from college, he's a point guard who needs the ball in his hands to shoot mid-range jumpers, to create plays for others as they're darting around him, playing off of the ball around him. I haven't seen Darvin Ham put him in that position not one time, bro. Actually, I did. Maybe about 6 games ago, he put him down there in garbage time and let him run the point guard. And Jalen wasn't doing nothing but creating very good looks for shooters that can't shoot. That was literally what I saw him do. It was the only time I ever seen him create. He was passing the rock to people that need not shoot threes in a time when the team itself did not need threes. It was like, what is he doing? Like, if that's the type of point guard he is, he's in the wrong situation. He needs to be playing with people like, you know, Larry Markkinen and KCP and catch and shoot guys. He ain't on the right team for what it is that I seen him do. Creating, you know, making nice creative plays, but like getting the ball to people that shouldn't even be shooting it at the 3-point line, kicking out the threes. It's the only time I ever seen him create. He's played under 70 minutes. We've played over 30 games, fam. And sure, I could say he sucks, but how much time have I actually seen him be himself? You got him playing off the ball, got him slashing at the rim. That is not who he was drafted to be. And trust me, I know. I scouted him myself. Now, I don't need to ask nobody who Jalen Hood-Schifino is. I did my own homework on the kid myself before we drafted him. That's why I know I didn't want him. If I'm being honest, that's how I know I didn't want him on the team, because I knew he, first of all, was going to need some time to develop who he is. Second of all, we were going to need him to play the backup point guard role, and we already had D'Lo. And there were other players on the board that we could use more so. Small forwards and wings and shooters. A guy like Podziemski who rebounds and shoots. I need Podziemski. I don't need Jalen. Jalen's a point guard who's going to need maybe 4 years to develop.
Tuesday, Wednesdays at MGM.
So my thing is this. If we're going to ask Jalen to play roles that aren't necessarily who he was drafted to be, and he's only 20 years old, then like was said earlier on Naked Nation, I agree with the statement I heard. Send him to the G League so they can give him some minutes in between Scottie Pippen Jr. and let him run the stuff that he's supposed to run so that he can develop who he is going to be, and then we can trade him or use him accordingly. But as long as we're asking him to be somebody he was not drafted to be, he's too young to be establishing the wrong habits as a basketball player. Too young to be asked to do things that are not within his wheelhouse for very limited minutes at a time. You are using him wrong. That is the reality of it. You're using him wrong. Christian Wood. I like that we've incorporated Christian Wood back into the lineup over the last several games. We lost several games where we needed his rebounding. We lost several games where we needed his scoring, and he wasn't on the floor at all because he was in the doghouse. Why was he in the doghouse? You know who Christian Wood is. The man is probably about 30 years old. He's been in this league for several years now. There's nothing for him to prove to anybody. Either you can use him or you can't. Is this a behavioral thing, or you didn't like something he said, so now you want to bench him? That is not leading to us having a cohesive basketball team, fam. Not to say that I know this or don't. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make any sense that you benched him. I need my coach to pick a certain focus. Either you're going to try to win now, or you're going to try to get everybody in positions to do what it is that they do best. Maybe that doesn't lead to wins, but it can lead to a certain level of success when these guys are finally properly placed in the roles that they can be utilized in. Make guys look better. Find out what they're good at. Talk to them. What do you want to do? What is your best interest on the basketball floor? What are you used to? What would you like to see your career go? And let me put you in positions within the rotations that I use to get you into those specific roles. Otherwise, the coach is just throwing stuff out there, got guys doing stuff that they cannot necessarily be successful in trying to accomplish. And that, my friend, is on him. That's on him. People mad at Jalen Hood-Schifino. Why? He's had 70 minutes in his whole career, none of which have made him look like himself. None of which have been his functionality as a player. Picture putting Shaq out there to shoot threes only. Picture that. Making Shaq a stretch five and somebody who you rarely want to put in the paint. What the hell are you going to do that for? That's exactly how he's used Jalen Hood-Schifino. Got Jalen Hood-Schifino playing off the ball. Jalen Hood-Schifino is a orchestrator. He's someone you put the ball in his hands. You tell him what your system is. You sit down with him for a good month and a half at a time, depending on how quickly he can learn, and teach him a specific system. You run that system in scrimmages every 2 days, and you turn him into who he is drafted to be. A point guard, a floor general. That is what Jalen Hood-Schifino is, a floor general, pick and roll player, mid-range shooter. That is who he is. What have you got him doing, Darvin Ham? I'm telling you, until I see Jalen Hood-Schifino be put in situations where he's running his own system, where the coach got him running stuff that he has put together for the whole team by way of this point guard. You don't see Jalen Hood-Schifino. He's being somebody else. You got Shaq shooting threes. That's what you got him doing. I'm sorry, but you're not going to have no success. And you're going to make the kid look bad, mess with his confidence, have him as a role player when he was drafted to be the 16th overall pick. I'm sorry. It's not good enough, Darvin. Utilize Jalen Hood-Schifino as a floor general. Otherwise, you've wasted the pick. Made him look his absolute worst. And he going to get blamed for it. It ain't nobody's fault but Darvin's. Period. You know, and so, and then, you know, for Taurean Prince, he's having a really good year shooting the ball from the corner, although he's inconsistent in other areas. But I don't need him on the floor like he's like Luol Deng in the prime with the Chicago Bulls. That's not who he is. He's a shooter, fam. You want him out there to shoot the ball. If he's having a cold night, I don't ever need to see him. On a night like last night, he's been on the floor for 10 minutes. He start missing his third three-point shot, you sit him down. He's limited. He can't do a whole lot. He's getting hunted on defense. Because he has defensive issues and offensive liability issues, he extenuates the weaknesses of the other players around him. Meaning, if you put a guy like Christian Wood on the floor next to him, the defense is going to be a lot worse than it would be if you didn't, because they both have defensive issues. If you put Austin and D'Lo next to TP, your team's, you're going to have holes all over the floor because none of them play defense. Like, these are things that Darvin needs to really, really respect, man. And I'm not seeing it. And this isn't the first time I've said this. I identified this the first week of the season. We talked about this many times on our channel. And it's week, 8, whatever, week 9 of the season, and we're still seeing this? Nah, Darvin. Nah, brother. TP is a specialty shooter, a vet role player, somebody that the league has known for many years. Guys know what he wants to do. If you can't put him out there to be exactly who he is, you leaving him out there for 30 damn minutes is going to leave you with a hole on the floor if he's not hitting shots. Luckily enough, he's having a good year shooting the ball. But don't get that mistaken with him being somebody that you need as a starter for 5 and 6, stretches of minutes at every quarter or whatever it is. That is not what you need him to be. You gotta, and look, I keep saying this, but when you need offense and you got a guy like Max Lewis on your team and you never ever see him, that is crazy to me. When Max Lewis ain't nothing but a shooter, athlete, dunker of the ball, and you put him in a system that he looks good in, put a good point guard next to him, he gonna get him the ball. And he gonna make things happen with it. He's a scorer. You can't find no minutes for a scorer when your team is deficient scoring the ball. You want to lean on defense when you got the best of defensive player who can mask everybody's weaknesses by himself. Anthony Davis don't need no damn defenders down there. He needs offensive players. People that can get him the ball, people can hit shots around him, create spacing so he can have the paint to himself, mid-range areas to himself. Why the hell you got him down there where people can't score at all? That specialize in defense when he's the best defensive player on the planet. This stuff doesn't make any sense. Putting Vando and Cam in the same rotation with Anthony Davis and Bron. No shooting, overload on defense, and nobody stopping anybody with these lineups. That's the part that drives me crazy. It's almost like we get worse defensively when we do it. We're definitely not generating no offense, but when you have those lineups on the floor, you see 40-point quarters for the opponent. How does this make any sense? And so for me, it's like, yo, I don't want to see this crap anymore. Darvin's not making any sense. The stuff that he's trying to do is changing every 5 minutes. And when it's not working, after trying it one time, he tries something else. It demands that work after one try. And when that doesn't work, he needs to try something. It's like, bro, it's never going to, no one's going to ever get used to anything you're doing if this is what you're doing. No one's ever going to understand what their role is if it keeps changing every game. And the stuff that you want to do consistently is stuff that consistently does not work in some cases. How does this make work? How does this make any sense right now? How could this make teams feel like, yo, my coach got my back. I know what my role is. I'm going to be in a position when I come to work to be myself, and I'm going to look good, and I'm going to make some money in this league because I'm doing what this guy is telling me to do. This is not what you're seeing. And here's something that needs to be said as well. The reason why we don't think you're going to get fired, Darvin, is because we're saying, essentially, everybody's saying that if you hire a new coach mid-season, roles change. And new systems have to be implemented. And people have to change what it is that they do. But Darvin, with you in place, I can argue that is what is happening every day. That is as if we're getting a new coach every week. That's what I haven't heard any of the analysts say. What the hell is the difference? If we're going to switch the coach and that coach is going to implement some stability, then that is that's a difference from what it is that we've been used to right now. That's the opposite of what Darvin's been doing because he's implementing more change every damn game. So I could argue hurrying up and firing him may instill whatever stability may be coming from that, for which he's not providing. You may want to fire him so that stability can come into place. Not the other way around. Ain't nobody gonna be changing their roles. They're changing their roles because of him. He's the one that's making the roles change every 5 minutes. Let me try this, let me try that, let me try this, let me try that. It ain't never, ever nothing that makes these people look good. Let me put 4 forwards on the floor. Let me put 3 guards on the floor. And okay, small. All right. Like, what is this? Why is your creativity like that, bro? Why is your creativity making it so that people got to look like we're overloading on certain things, but never the right things? We're overloading on stuff, but never quite what actually works. It's not about a rookie coach. It's about what the coach that you have in place is trying to do. I could argue you can get a high school coach to put better stuff on the floor than this. But if Darvin's goals are for something else to be the case, and we don't know what those goals are, so we just think he's trying to do things that make sense, but in actuality, he's trying to get people to buy in or whatever. It's like, yo, bro, we need to know these things. For all I know, Darvin's, with my rotation, what essentially I'm trying to do is get Max Christie and Jalen Hood-Schifino to be better defenders. Like, okay, well, maybe you put them in adverse circumstances will allow them to somehow back into being better defenders. Okay, at least I know what your goal is. I don't know what his goal is. So all I'm thinking is he trying to win basketball games and doing the things the wrong way. So for me, I'm going to analyze it that way. He's doing things that don't make any sense, when in actuality, I don't know what the man's goal is. I don't know what he's trying to do. So that's really where I'm coming from with it. I expect that Darvin probably will be fired. If we keep playing poorly, he's going to be fired. Because there's no stability there, so it's no risk at letting him go in this sense that change would otherwise have to be implemented, making people uncomfortable. Him being in place is giving up change that's making people uncomfortable. You feel me? That's not going to save his job. Not if people are seeing things the way I'm looking at them. You fire him now, bring in some stability, whether it's right or wrong, something that people can just keep doing every single game. Then, whether it's the best thing or the worst thing, at least they can start getting comfortable within what it is they're asked to do. Me personally, I don't really know enough about coaches to tell you who the best coach is. I don't know. I know some of these names I'm hearing I'm not interested in. I'd much rather go another rookie coach route. Maybe find an assistant coach somewhere who's really good. You know what I mean? Who's already got opportunities lined up and we just be one of many. That's probably what you want to do. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if the front office that we have knows how to really assess coaches properly. Because we've been hiring some bad coaches consecutively. Many of them dating back to, Byron Scott? I mean, we ain't had a good coach in any of those situations, man. Even Frank Vogel, I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand Frank Vogel. I couldn't stand him, especially near the end. He checked all the way out. Our team was bland as paper. Byron Scott had issues with players. Couldn't connect with the guys because he was too old school, too, hell-bent on doing things his way. Luke Walton didn't have a single clue. A good portion of the time, he was clueless, putting stuff on the floor that's even worse than Vogel's rotations. And Darvin Ham, I could argue, have even worse rotations above of him. How is it even possible we keep finding coaches that are horrible at putting players in positions to succeed? It's a consistency here. So I'm not looking at the coaches necessarily. I'm looking at the person who's choosing them. That person who's choosing the coaches, that person don't need to be choosing the coaches no more. Let's hire somebody else to do that. Genie Bus. Hire somebody else to hire your coach. Literally. And I hear, maybe you want to go the route of bringing in-house. No, they're a part of this. They're a part of this. And they're not able to implement any changes from within their position as assistants to where Darvin's doing all this chaotic stuff. They have no influence on that. And you think I want them to take over the team? No. I don't want nobody who's his assistant taking over the damn team, because if they were going to make any changes, they should be making the changes from within their seat now. Darvin ain't got a damn clue. He needs help. He ain't getting it. Why? What else does there need to be said? We don't need the same coaching staff to try to help him further or replace him to keep on doing what it is that they've been doing. None of them been able to reach the team either. That part's obvious. So no, I don't need none of his assistants to take over. Absolutely not. I need somebody who ain't here come in and be here and make this thing better. So this is what I'm saying to all of y'all. I'm not against firing nobody if what I'm going to get from them is what I saw these last two games. The New Orleans game and that Miami game was enough for me to look and say, we need a change. And the problem that I've run into over the last 24 hours is believing that even if we make a trade, because of what it is that may be available to us, it ain't going to make us no better. With this guy using them like he uses what he has right now, they're not going to be no better. A guy like Zach LaVine, he ain't going to make this thing better. A guy like DeJounte Murray, we see how he's looking in Atlanta. They ain't doing nothing. Those guys got to be put in positions to succeed and be checked in. And they need everybody around them to be playing well. Otherwise, they're just going to be more of the same. You got to get the guy who's controlling this stuff out of there. Put in somebody that everybody can believe in, everybody who's being used properly by. Then you got a situation that looks like, okay, we doing something with the new guys. Darvin gonna have DeJounte playing off the ball the whole time. Gonna have him doing all kinds of stuff. Ain't got nothing to do with him getting the ball in his hands, doing what he needs to do. He gonna have Zach LaVine in the paint or something. You know what I mean? Just doing the opposite of his functionality. Just like he doing with Jalen Hood-Schifino and Max Christie. sitting him down when he don't, maybe they said something to him. Now you got to sit him for 4 games. Ain't got nothing to do with your strategy at hand. I'm sick of this. I'm telling you, for me, the Dallas game was the one that really pissed me off the most. When we letting guys like Dante Exum and who else was it? Tim Hardaway's a shooter, but Grant Williams, they was hitting like 5 and 6 threes on us. We weren't guarding the perimeter. And then he's benching Max Christie the whole game. Then I fast forward to yesterday and Max Christie shooting 9 threes. What's the difference? What happened between now and then? That Darvin saw and said, you know what? Let me play Max Christie the whole game as opposed to not playing him for 3 games in a row. What has changed? It certainly wasn't the personnel you were going against, because you needed Max Christie more so against Dallas than you needed against Miami, who don't even shoot like that. Who doesn't even shoot the 3 in such a way that makes it so that you have to guard the perimeter like crazy. With the exception of Duncan Robinson, maybe a little Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry. There's some nice shooters, but not like Dallas was shooting the ball. So why couldn't Max Christie get on the floor when we needed him the most? What in Darvin's mind said, you know what, this is a max time. Now we going to max. Now, because it certainly wasn't in practice, because they ain't scheduling no practices. So it ain't like Max was just killing it in practice. What practice? We ain't practicing what we're doing. We're implementing new stuff. And then we're assessing people based on whether or not they're successful within those changes. How does that make any sense? Oh, he's just struggling. Struggling at what? What you just started him with right now? Something that you just implemented right now? He's struggling with, of course he's struggling with it. 5 LeBron Jameses would struggle with that crap. Because it's new. Not because they suck, because it's new. And you ain't give him no time to master it. You put Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the floor. If you keep changing everything that they do in every game, they're going to struggle with that. It doesn't matter the talent. They're going to struggle. You have them doing stuff that's not their game, running Shaq at the point guard, putting Isaiah Thomas in the paint. Believe me, they're going to struggle. It ain't got nothing to do with how talented they are. You're not leading them to any type of success when you do it that way. And they want to switch it up and bench them when they're not playing well. How they going to play well? You got them doing stuff they're no good at. So at some point in time, we just got to look at Darvin Ham. And that point is now. So for all of those who are saying fire Darvin, I don't see too many reasons not to now. Because if the only argument is that we're going to see changes and it's going to shake things up if we bring in a new coach, if you look around, he's shaking things up right now. He's shaking things up right now. What's the difference? Guys are going to be playing out of their role. What roles? Roles that don't accentuate their strengths at all? Roles that change every 2 games? What roles? Think about it. If the argument is that a new guy is going to make things change and the old guy is implementing changes at random, the stability only comes from removing that guy and letting the changes come for once. Only one change should be necessary after you bring in a stable coach. And then from there, now you don't have to worry about changes every 5 minutes. Now you don't have to worry about instability. But as long as you have somebody in there that's unstable and they keep making changes, then of course it's like having a new coach every single time. So that argument is out of the window with me. There ain't no reason to keep him around because there ain't no stable roles. So yeah, man, hey, look, I don't know who follows me. I don't know who's on a burner account, who may love what I do, or maybe, just peek in because I'm one of those passionate Laker fans that ain't really looking for nothing but to assess my own point of view. I ain't even, I would imagine if I were a Laker official, I would be interested in me because I'm not holding back nothing. Ain't nobody paying me nothing. I'm not even looking for numbers. I'm not even trying to grow the damn channel. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find a core group of people who want to follow what I do and talk to them like I know them. That's how I get down in everything that I do. So I would be more interested in me than I would be in a lot of dudes because of it. I'm not interested in me. I'm not interested in growing me. None of that. None of that at all. At all. Many people say that. Not many people mean it. I mean it. And what I'm telling you is because of it, I feel that I'm somebody you need to be following if you're in that organization. And so I think people probably already do. I wouldn't be surprised if Bron followed me. I wouldn't be surprised if AD followed me. Because at the end of the day, I really am somebody who's really talking about this stuff without trying to bring any attention to myself at all. I don't care about none of that. What I do care about, though, is my team looking good. Literally. And I'm telling y'all, bro, I don't care who's in the uniform. If they're going to make us look great, I'm happy you're here. If you're going to make us look bad, I want you to get better. Or gone. Or gone, you know what I'm saying? But better first. Before I exile you, better first. And for me, I just have a very strong cognizance of our timeline, man. We have LeBron James in place at year 21, at age 39, even though I misspoke and said 30 twice for some reason. I don't even know how I did that. But he's 39 years old. Same age as me, 4 months younger than me. And I'm telling you, that is the urgency. Not the fact that people aren't hurrying up and getting better, but that because of that specific thing, they need to. You see what I'm saying? If he was 31, then we just wait all this out. Coach needs to get better. He needs to bump his head. We're hurt, you know. We got a rebuilding team or whatever. Okay, well, maybe move a few pieces. But as far as the urgency to get better right now, I mean, we don't need to get better right now. We just need guys to work their progressions and we'll be fine. If we still had the kids, B.I., Kuzma, I mean, obviously right now it's a little further down the line, but if it were back then when we had them at that time, it's not a big deal that they're not playing well. It's not a big deal that the coach don't get it right. We're frustrated and we're Lakers, so we need to hurry up. But then it's about tempering us as fans to say, this is a rebuilding situation and nobody's about to get it right overnight. Right? That's really what it comes down to. Guys don't have to just get it right because we want them to get it right. Unless we have an expedited timeline for which it is very, very important that we move in a direction of success right away. As to which, in this situation, specific situation, it is definitely that. This may be the only one like it in the whole league. But we got to recognize the position that we're in. We got to recognize the urgency of playing well as it pertains to aligning LeBron James and the timeline that he has with the most opportunities to succeed possible. The highest level of success possible for his season this year. So that if he does retire, we will have did right by him and done right by ourselves. And if that is not the goal, I need people to envision what him going somewhere else looks like and what your regret would be in that scenario. I need people to fast forward to when LeBron goes and plays for the Orlando Magic because his son goes there in the draft, and what his value leaving our organization without any recoup actually looks like. That's what I need people to think about. How do you feel when LeBron James takes all of his value, everything you can trade him for, and goes to Orlando because this place is sopped up dry and he can't win here? What's that look like to you? Because if we're not going to get good enough to win, that is the reality we're forcing ourselves into tomorrow. A world where we don't get nothing for the massive amount of return that LeBron James can provide us in a trade. While y'all sitting around waiting for coach to grow up and players to play well, you need to understand that he could leave for nothing. How many picks can you get for Bron? What kind of players can you get for Bron? What type of return can you get for him? If you're not going to value him properly, your only other responsibility is to make sure that you don't lose him for nothing. The only reason you lose him for nothing is because you know you can win a championship this year. That makes it somewhat worth it. Somewhat. And he retires in your uniform, an NBA champion, or at least got to the finals to where we know we gave ourselves the best shot at being as good as we could possibly be. But being in no man's land, ending the season, not making the playoffs, and he leaves, that is malpractice for our organization. That is deliberately walking yourself into years and years of turmoil and leaving so much value on the table. I am not signing up for that as a fan. As much as I appreciate LeBron James, if we cannot get him into a reasonable winning situation this season, we cannot risk him opting out and going somewhere else when we don't have our picks. We got Anthony Davis to consider. Half of the talent that we drafted is not that overly great right now. Guys are going to take some years to get better. We don't have the greatest trade package to get players. You can't let that type of value leave. You can't let him walk out the door unless it's absolutely worth it. That is the urgency of your timeline, Los Angeles. That is the reality of what it is that you're toying around with when you don't make changes. And I see that coming, and I'm not okay with it, and I don't want my team to be okay with that. If LeBron James leaves, and we're not a good team when it happens, it's simply malpractice, fam. It's simply malpractice. So that's what I want people to believe, hear, and understand. Do not expect that LeBron James is just going to stick around and continue to have losing seasons or mediocre seasons or no man's land seasons with you. If I were his friend, I would tell him not to. You are 39 years of age playing at a level that no one else can. You can't afford even half of a season in a bad situation anymore. You cannot. You're throwing the rest of your career away, and you specifically owe it to yourself and your legacy to not do that, no different than we owe it to our legacy not to allow you to. In every way imaginable, whether it means making trades to bring a team to you that can get better, or trading you so that we can get the requisite amount of, recoup on your value. Either way, nobody should be choosing to stay in no man's land hell with the LA Lakers in this circumstance. No one. And that is the urgency of making changes. That is the urgency of firing a Darvin Ham if you're going to do that. That's the urgency of him getting his act together so you don't have to. That's the urgency of moving every player necessary to make sure that you can have a winning team. Literally. I'm trying to keep AR out of every trade imaginable. But because of my timeline, I have to be honest. It's not that I'm choosing between AR and other players specifically. It's me choosing between AR and my timeline, depending on what the trade is. It literally is. Either you're going to choose AR or you choosing more or less Bron. Because it's going to trickle down to that. If he walks away for nothing, you're going to be left with nothing but AR. You think AD going to want to stay with you after that? When Bron leave, you think AD going to want to play on a team that just let half of its value walk out the door? That wouldn't be in AD's best interest. He would do better going somewhere else in that situation. Are we incapable of seeing that happening? We don't see that move, that coming. You don't see that coming? I see that coming. How do you see that coming? You think AD just gonna sit here and hold the fort down because he loves being a Laker that much? Please, man. Don't be silly. Ain't nobody gonna want to drag nothing. At least here he has LeBron on the team. If LeBron's value leaves and LeBron James out the door with it, then guess what he's gonna be playing with? AR-15. That's it. That's gonna be his best player. Next best player is AR. Like, y'all gotta think about these type of things as you're sitting here saying, well, we can just wait till the offseason. No, you cannot. Because you leave a lot of stuff open to go wrong in the event you do in the offseason. All you're going to have left is AR and Darvin Ham. and whatever you can get for AD. That's all you're going to have. And you think you're going to build your way out of that without a picks till 2029? You better get a lot of picks for AD. You better hope he don't get hurt at the end of the year. So as to which you couldn't trade him. Anybody see that coming? At some point in time, we just got to start thinking about what could completely go wrong for just standing pat and acting like the timeline ain't what it is. The Lakers got this year to win a championship. After that, everything's in the air. You got LeBron James on contract for no more guaranteed years. And if he decides to opt out and go somewhere else, 5 picks or whatever he would be worth in today's market goes with him. You need to make it so that he doesn't want to opt out. That's what I'm saying. Or you need to trade him. If you can't commit to either of those things, you are leaving it up to chance, and that is malpractice. That's exactly what I'm telling you. You're leaving it up to chance. You're hoping that he'll just want to stay because he loves LA that much. And maybe he does. But like I said, it's up to chance. You don't really know. So somebody hear me when I say this. Darvin Ham ain't going to make me do that. He ain't going to be the reason all of this goes left. Especially if the only argument for keeping him is that we bring in somebody else that's going to shake things up. That's a horrible excuse. For the specifics of who he is. Any other situation? Yeah, for sure. Because now it's going to change roles around and all this. But that ain't, no, he changes roles around every 3 weeks, every 3 games. We got new roles for different players. Like, nah, man, there ain't no reason. And the longer we wait, the less time we have for this to work out. So while people are waiting, we'll wait a couple weeks, this, that. Hey, man, if you're going to wait a couple weeks, that means you're committing to Darvin Ham and you believe in what it is he's doing or believe he's going to be able to turn it around. That's what it is. Either you believe. But I'm telling you right now, if I'm going forward with Darvin Ham, I am not going to have the pressure of LeBron James. 5 more minute timeline, expediting the pressure on him, or rather expediting his need to improve right away. That is a bad bet from here on out. He ain't getting better fast enough for this to make any sense in that regard. Either you go forward with Darvin or you go forward without Bron. It's the way I have to look at this if I'm trying to stay in control of everything. Now, if I want to leave things up to chance, then we can just move like that. But I'm telling you, from where I'm sitting, he ain't going to get good enough in time for what you have going on, LA. He ain't. He's proving that. And I don't know if I should look into what Bron said at the end of that Timberwolves game when he said that the referees were eating a ham sandwich. But the way my mind worked, I don't think he said that by accident. And it wasn't like he had forgotten his coach's name was Ham. He was associating Ham with something absent-minded. Let's be honest. Somebody eating a ham sandwich. Ron he's not saying that if Ham was somebody he trusted, in my opinion. He's going to say turkey sandwich. He's going to say roast beef. He's going to say anything but ham. I promise. He's going to say something else. It just comes down to Darvin Ham has proven himself to be somebody who's not going to be good enough of a coach in time for LeBron James to win a championship, fam. That's it. That's all I'm saying to y'all. If you want to wait on Darvin Ham, then you got to take the pressure of this timeline off of him so he can have the time to do what he needs to do to get better. Bump his head a couple years in the playoffs in a row with some of the mistakes that he's making to stop making the mistakes. If he ain't going to do that, if he ain't going to have the time to do that, then you're asking him to expedite the process of getting better, and that is not a real thing. You can't will somebody into being great. That don't work like that. Either they got it or they don't. So the fire Darvin Ham campaign makes a whole lot of sense to me based on the specifics of the circumstance. Now, if we had a rebuilding team, cool, man. We can wait on him. We can wait on them. Everybody can be waited on. But you got 2 more minutes of LeBron James playing at this level, and even less than that, of him wanting to be here, in my opinion, given the fact that y'all doing this with his timeline. Man's 39 years old. More minutes than anyone else has ever played in the history of the sport. And he's still playing at a level that nobody else has ever played at in regards to being that age, man. You don't have time. It can fall off a cliff at any moment. We know that. He may go into the summer next year while y'all sitting up here saying we got 1 more year, and he'll come back done next year. It can happen that fast at this age, man. And so for me, it's like either we trade him while he's at this value, or you find yourself in a situation where you're risking that he falls off a cliff with his value while you're sitting up here trying to make it so that everything else catches up to him. Next year, Darvin gonna be better. Next year, these guys gonna be better. Next year, he may not be better. So this is what I want my Lakers to understand and believe and hear me when I say this. We don't have time for this. BDL 44, I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.